So with that, we will take a few questions.
Mark?
Thanks for holding this, Mr. Mayor. To date, your administration hasn't given any sort of indication of the cost to the city stemming from the ongoing civil unrest since late May. What's your timeline for doing that?
Working with the police department, we hope to have something as soon as we can. Chief, do you want to speak to that? I mean, I know we have a number of evaluations we need to do. The chief, I think, has even spoken to the fact that there's some after actions reviews of what occurred in the month of June as well. What will come with that also will be what was the cost and the spend by the Richmond Police Department.
That has been collected now. It's already been asked for and it's been collected now.
So he said that was being asked for and being collected now. I'm sorry, I did not repeat the question. I will do better next time.
Brad?
Superintendent Cameron's question for you.
By myself and just speaking to the virtual learning and also the eviction crisis that is about to hit our city as well. What types of technology access are you thinking about right now, especially for those families that may be facing eviction? And do you know if Comcast is still going to be offering free internet to help families out as well?
Well, I don't know about Comcast, but I can say this. Since the closure, we have distributed 16,000 Chromebooks to our students, 6,000 Wi-Fi hotspots. Just to give some context, we have about 25,000 total students, to give you a sense of the percentages there. We are committed to actually providing a Chromebook to every RPS student, regardless of economic need, given our decision to go virtual. Doing that will enable us to more easily push out software updates, login information, new applications, and so on. And so we will be in a position to be a completely one-to-one school division. In addition, we will provide devices and internet access to any staff member that needs that as well. Beyond the technical pieces of it, there will be a great deal of training for our staff about how to use all of these things, but also how to teach in a virtual environment. How do you keep kids engaged? How do you do a quiz? And so on. So that will all be part of our efforts.
Just to follow up to that, are there specific things in place in terms of what they can do for the virtual learning right now? Specific examples that you can speak to? I know you just mentioned, some goals, but
I didn't quite follow the question.
yeah, what are some specific training tools that students are going to be able to utilize now that are coming from teachers?
Training for how to use the computers?
No.
Sorry.
Being trained, the teachers, what type of training are they getting right now?
I see.
To be able to teach the students in this setting?
Yes. So all of our teachers in our summer program have gone through training because they're doing the work right now. And what's happening right now in our summer program is similar to what the fall will look like. So we are using that training that we did for teachers over the summer, refining it, and then we'll be rolling that out for our staff over the next couple of weeks. Based on our survey that we put out to staff, we know there are very different levels of need with our staff in terms of training for a virtual environment. A majority said they feel like they need about a half a day to a day's worth of training, but there was a significant minority that said they needed more than 2 days of training. And so we are creating a differentiated training program that will meet our teachers where they are so that they feel confident and ready to work in this virtual environment. And it's not just for our teachers. The same is true of our counselors and our social workers and office assistants and so on.
And I asked about the families that are facing eviction. I don't think you touched on that part of it. Is there any specific things in place for them?
So our Office of Engagement reaches out to our families that face that face housing instability, and that could be eviction or any other reason, to try to maintain contact with them, to get them whatever support they need in terms of social services, but also to get them the technology that they need, make sure they're getting food and meals and so on. We will continue to do that. The urgency of doing so has only increased with a virtual opening coming this fall.
Enzo.
Yeah.
You touched upon this when you spoke, but for the families that you mentioned that may not have, that may have issues getting childcare for their children, what do you say to parents that think that going virtual, totally virtual, might be considered overboard?
Well, look, we are going to work RPS with the city, with partners like the YMCA, with the philanthropic community, Parks and Recreation, to try to figure out a way to support our working families, to see if there is a one Richmond approach to childcare. And that's certainly my commitment on the RPS side, and I'm certain it's the commitment from the mayor. I'll let him say more about that. But we're going to do everything we possibly can to help those families.
Nick?
Question for Mayor Stoney. I know when the phase process began, you wrote to the governor basically asking that we take a step back in RBA. Now with this kind of uptick that we're a little bit seeing here in Richmond, could we see another potential letter to the governor just kind of saying the same thing, just, hey, maybe we should take a step back?
Yeah, the question was, with the data we're seeing currently, seeing a little spike, is there potential for us to communicate with the governor about taking a step back? The virus will always dictate our direction, whether we're moving up in phases or whether or not we move back in phases. And I will not hesitate if, in consultation with the state and also with Dr. Avula, that the data shows that we are seeing a tremendous spike that causes some concern. We will do what's necessary to put public health first. And everyone should know that this administration is willing to do what's necessary to protect every resident, but particularly the most vulnerable in this very critical time. The way we can avoid all that is by wearing these, washing your hands, keeping a distance, and staying out of mass gatherings. This can be a lifesaver right here. And if everyone adheres to the guidelines, particularly the face coverings, I think you can expect those numbers to change over time. I think everybody here in Richmond's been doing a pretty good job. Can we be better? Certainly we can be better. We can see more people wearing masks, face coverings inside closed spaces, and I think that's necessary to avoid us going backwards on this. Like I said, the biggest team project we've ever participated in our entire lives, and we need everyone to do their part.
Quick follow-up to that, just Dr. Avula mentioned that they've been getting a few complaints here and there about some places that have seen a little bit of no mask wearing, things like that. He mentioned they might pull some licenses. Could we see some maybe closing down of places as well if they don't continue to follow? That's for Dr. Avula.
Yeah, Dr. Avula?
Yeah, the question was, as we increase enforcement around mask wearing and our enforcement step is to pull a permit, could we actually see closing down of places? And, our enforcement ability is really to pull the permit, whether that's a restaurant and their, food permit or an operating permit from a business. So, I think we would not take the next step to close them down. We would define a certain amount of time before which they could, re-engage in business. I guess if there were repeat offenders and we had multiple instances, that could be possible. But, these are a lot of the details that are still being worked out at the state level and that our folks in the local health departments will start to enforce moving forward.
Rachel?
The question was in regards to the events that occurred last night, 27 homicides in the city, and also we're still experiencing gun violence as well. What is the plan to address that? Obviously, the two major players involved in something like this, which we've experienced over the course of my tenure as mayor, we need the community and we need the police department to work hand in hand to ensure that those who commit these crimes are brought to justice, and that's exactly what we need at this moment. Obviously, it's very, very difficult now because we are in such a time of uncertainty about programming for our kids, particularly when I talk about our young people, with schools not being open, with the lack of programming in some cases. We have to be even more innovative on how we engage our young people, but just the population in general during these difficult times where public health is at risk. But what's even higher risk to some of our residents is truly gun violence, right? We've talked about this on a number of occasions since I became mayor, and we are starting to get to sort of laws on the books that prevent the trafficking of illegal weapons and just the inundation of weapons into some of our most vulnerable communities. However, most of these laws were just enacted come July 1. We have to go even further, I think, as not only as a community, but also as a state to prevent these weapons getting in the hands of the wrong people.
Last question, Mark.
Mr. Mayor, last month you called for a criminal investigation into the actions of a Richmond police officer who drove his SUV into a crowd of protesters on Monument Avenue. And days later, you told a group of police officers that you did not see anything criminal, or you saw nothing criminal. Can you explain that apparent contradiction?
Sure. The question was about the incident that occurred on Monument Avenue in terms of the use of a vehicle by a police officer. Yes, I did call for, I thought what I saw merited an investigation by the Commonwealth's attorney and administrative leave for the officer. The footage I saw, as I stated then, was no criminality. However, I recognize that it is the Commonwealth's attorney's role to determine what is criminal.
Do you frequently say one thing publicly and then a different thing behind closed doors, depending on who you're willing for with?
No.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Be safe, stay strong.